Hello, here's a quick watercolor and pen study of some poppies. I am taking part in a Bring Spring Art Challenge hosted by a few artists on Instagram, and this is one of my first illustrations towards the art challenge. I decided to take part in it last minute, and I'm trying to paint at least a few topics from it. I really enjoy painting all these topics because it's very much in line with what I normally do. So here I am painting a quick watercolor and pen study of poppies. So first I'm going to make a quick pen sketch of poppies, very rough scribbles at this stage. I'm not really doing a complete line drawing here. I'm just doing a quick scribble just to get an idea and the shape of the flower. I absolutely love using these quick scribbly lines. Creating all these imperfect lines means that it leaves room for any sort of mistake that could happen along the way. And because I'm not using a pencil, it's very easy to make a mistake and be overwhelmed with it. If you were using clean lines, instead I choose to do these quick scribbly lines, which means they already look like a scribble, and if I make a mistake I can easily go over it and not notice it at all. So just finishing off some poppy pods. I really love painting and sketching poppy pods. I have no idea why it is so, but I just love how characteristic they look. So here's another poppy pod, just creating dark and light lines, and each line, as you can see, is a quick scribble, dots, dashes, anything that could bring character to my sketches. So if you look very closely at what I'm sketching, you can see that these lines are rather incomplete. So I'm nearly done with all the sketches, and next I'm going to get some paint to start painting. And of course I always start with a quick splash on the paper, and that just takes away the uncomfortable feeling of a blank sheet. And let's start painting some poppies. I'm starting off with a very light wash, just getting the shape of a faint poppy flower. Now that I have a very rough pen sketch first in place, I find it really easy to start building up with watercolors on it. So it doesn't feel too daunting to start on a blank sheet of paper. And I can also decide where I want to leave those white areas. I can decide where I want extra pigments. So it really helps me when I have a very quick sketch to begin with. The color that I have used here is permanent red. I've also used a little bit of cadmium orange, especially when I'm watering down the red towards the lighter areas, just to bring in that extra sense of light to the papery quality of the petal. I prefer working wet in wet and also adding value while the paper is still wet, which means here, if you can see, I'm adding extra red into the petal, and the petal is still wet from the first wash that I did. I'm just dropping in some extra pigment to add value to the petal and give it more of a 3D look. These flowers do have a tonal value and looks more realistic already. However, I like to add a little bit more deeper color to some areas just to bring out the flower. So I'm just adding another layer of a permanent red. The petals here or the flower here has dried out. So whatever I'm placing after that will just sit on top, as you can see here. I'm now going to start working on the poppy pods or the center of the flower. I'm using indanthrine blue, which is a deep blue, and I'm using that to paint the center of the flowers, which is a little bit darker. Finally, I'm going to paint in the stem of the poppy flowers. The color that I'm using here is olive green with a little bit of red so that it's muted down slightly. And now let's paint in the poppy pods, and I'm starting again with the same color, just giving it a little bit splash of color, leaving some white areas. Again, it makes it more easier because I already have a quick pen sketch in place, so I know exactly where to leave the unpainted area. And when you are painting with watercolors first, sometimes it can feel a bit daunting, and it's very easy to paint over areas which should have been left white. And finally, to finish off, I'm going to add a splash of red color onto my poppy pods as well. I just feel that it brings more interest to the poppy pods and makes the illustration look a little bit more interesting. And I'm going to add some extra value to my petals as well by adding extra red, only if it's necessary. And once this is completely dry, I can then add some pen if I need it. So here's the completed sketch of my poppy flowers. I hope you enjoyed the process. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.